All right, guys. So today, I'm excited about this one. This has been in the works for probably like a half a year, right? So today we're diving into a conversation that sits right at the crossroads of freedom, wellness, and global living. So my guest today is Kea Simmons, founder of, and then I'm gonna have you say it,
Traverse Culture.
Traverse Culture. There you go. Um, it's a global travel and relocation brand that's redefining what it means to explore, heal, and build new life abroad. So from the United States to Kenya, Kia didn't just build a company, she built a movement around the intentional travel, medical tourism, and helping others reclaim their sovereignty by choosing where and how they want to live. So Kia created a pathway for people to experience the world differently, supporting local economies, connecting travelers with authentic communities, and guiding expats who are ready to relocate and thrive internationally. So, in this conversation, guys, we're going to talk about what it really takes to relocate abroad, how medical tourism is becoming a gateway to health sovereignty, and why Africa, especially Kenya, is emerging as a powerful hub for wellness, opportunity, and freedom. So, whether you've ever dreamed about living abroad, or escaping the system, or simply finding more alignment in how to live and heal, this episode would open your eyes to what's truly possible when you stop asking for permission and start designing the life on your own terms. Kia, welcome.
Thank you for having me. That was great.
Appreciate you. Like I said, it's we have been trying to connect since before you even fully relocated to
Yes,
to Africa, and then that was when it was easier. Now we're on a time difference, and but we finally made it.
we made
So
it.
we did. So let's start.
Okay.
Definitely want to start with the personal journey. So, what originally drew you to Kenya? Was it business, lifestyle, or just a deeper calling?
I maybe a deeper calling because I was in Afghanistan at the time in 2011, right after I got out of the military. I did 5.5 years in the U.S. Army, and then got out and did civilian contracting. And so my first contract was in Afghanistan, where I met my first Kenyan. Had never met a Kenyan a day of my life in the US, which is weird. So I had to go all the way to Kenya to meet my first Kenyan. And I met my brother, James Mlwasi. He's from Mombasa, the Bamburi area. And he was telling me about Kenya, just Kenya, everything about the country. And I think at that time I was about 28 years old. And I had been questioning a lot of things. I had stepped into, I think, what we call my enlightenment period. I was questioning religion. I was questioning who am I as a African person or a Black person, whatever fits globally. What does that mean? We've been taught in America a lot of things, but we don't see ourselves globally or internationally. And so as I'm walking through that journey, reading the great scholar books and, diving deep a little bit in the conscious community, that community could get wild, but I did learn a lot going through that process. And I had an awakening, and that awakening that led me to Kenya and led me to James, I believe. And as he's telling me all the great things about Kenya, at that moment, I didn't know where Kenya was located on the map in Africa. I didn't know it was East Africa. We just, you hear about Kenya, you hear about Kwanzaa, some of the Swahili words that are in alignment with Kwanzaa, which was actually created by an African American, right? But you don't really know about that. And then you watch The Lion King, and you don't know that those are actually Swahili words, and that is derivative of a Kenyan folklore story. So after he, really got me intrigued, I said, you know what, I'm going. He said, no, you're not. I said, yes, I am. So 2 weeks later, I had my ticket and ready to go to Kenya. And I landed at Moi International Airport. That's the coastal area of Kenya. And I sat there and I looked up and I said, you know what? We have been bamboozled, hoodwinked, and lied to, because these people over here living better than us. And this is 14 years ago. Okay, 14 years ago. And just for any viewers that are Kenyan that may be watching this, I've been coming to this country since Kibaki was the president, and the Kenyan shilling was 88 to the dollar. So it was really close to the dollar. And even in the 1960s, Kenya was neck and neck with Singapore. even neck and neck with the US in terms of I mean the UK, excuse me, in terms of the pound and the euro. So you know, a lot of the stories that we've been told about the continent has been lies. So essentially that was my entry point into Kenya, and I fell in love.
Amazing. All right, so listen, walk us through the moment you decided to relocate fully, and then what
So,
emotions or realizations led you to that move.
sorry. So I get excited. So it's been a long journey. It's been a 14 or 13-year journey because I've been here now for about a year. And I started coming back and forth, and then I started living like 6 months at a time, about 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. And then I made the permanent decision to move. Now, it was always my decision to move to Kenya, but I had a son. And then you have all of these other components where you just can't pick up and leave, right?
Right.
Especially from the US, because you know, you've either created some form of debt, you have some type of roles and responsibilities that will tie you to the US for a certain amount of time until you're able to relinquish that or consolidate the debt. And so over time, this was a process. I was waiting for my son to graduate from high school, which he did, and I packed my things up and I moved. And I remember the day that I told my son, he was like, duh, mom, I already knew that. Like, I already knew you were going to move. We know you're not happy here. Get away. And so it's always been a part of the process. It was just me waiting for my son and life, just making sure that everything was in order. So I actually started the business prior to moving to Kenya 7 years ago in 2018. And so I had been um I have a brain fart. Managing the company, excuse me, from the US to Kenya. I also did business in Senegal, Jamaica, Panama, and Belize as well, with Kenya being our international hub.
Okay. So, how did your perception of Africa and Kenya um, change since you're, after living there full time now? I know you were going back and forth.
Right. I think because I've been coming here so long, I already was ready and kind of know what that would look like. But I think living here permanently, the perception. That's a hard one because it's kind of like I already knew. Like I already knew I can live here well, right? I already knew I can have luxury living and peace and all of those things. It's just now what it means to me now. So I have less anxiety, right?
Mm,
Every entrepreneur have anxiety, so it ain't gonna go away. But in terms of the outside noises, I think that's what I was able to kind of capture now that I live here permanently. I don't have to deal with all of the other stuff that's going on. I mean, fortunately, and I guess unfortunately, because I am a foreigner, politically, I can ignore what's happening politically here if I really
yeah.
wanted to. There's enough security to where it doesn't affect my daily livelihood. Right. Now, that's not how I operate, but that is a privilege of relocating to another country. And so I think those privileges and being conscious and aware of them has been something that I've been, learning and unlearning certain cultural norms that we're accustomed to, learning the business culture, learning how things move very slowly. And the good thing about it, in the beginning, is frustrating, right? But
Yeah.
then the upside to that, it calms you down
Yeah.
because we're so used to being in an aggressive environment and go, 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 go. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. And whereby here it's like, yeah, we're gonna get it done and we're gonna take our time. And at first you're like, well, we ain't gonna get no business done if you do it that way. But then you have to look at it the way that the livelihood is different here. They take holidays serious. The whole country shut down. I ain't never seen nothing like that in my life. The whole country shuts down, right? Nobody's doing work after December the 12th. You can forget about it. And they're not going back into the office until January the 8th. Okay. So it's a whole different vibe in terms of your livelihood. So it lets you enjoy peace and quietness and stillness.
Yeah. I could align with that being in South America now, Colombia as a
Yes.
resort owner. Sitting there for 2 months, and like luckily for you, their English is probably predominantly spoken. in Kenya, right?
Yes, that's the national language.
That's the
English
national
and
language,
Swahili.
yeah. In South America, forget about it. So now
Right.
you have to go through the process of understanding and trying to convey messages back. So it forced me to,
Oh.
like you said, to slow down, take things in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Feel more, right? Because you don't realize how much you're running in the United States
Yeah.
until you leave the United States. So it turned into more of a healing for me as opposed to
Mm.
a business venture, and that's another conversation for another day.
Wait,
But
I agree with that. I
right,
agree with this though. Yes. Yeah.
that's the part I think people don't realize. Like when you, because listen, anytime you get a 2 weeks vacation, the first thing you want to do, if you have the means and the passport, is leave the United States.
Yeah. Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, so then you never look at the places you go as places that you could possibly land. So, our decision to go to South America was one of those setting up our future now, as opposed to
Mm.
the narrative of America is work till 65 or 70. I don't know what it is now. And then figure things out after that. I'm like, it
Yeah.
doesn't
You're
work
too
like that.
old now. Shoot. Let me do it
Right.
now. Yeah.
So if you could take yourself back, what's the common myth about Africa or Kenya that was debunked with going back and forth or just being?
Oh God. Where do we start?
Right.
Forget about it. Like, huh. Now I didn't think people live in huts. I wasn't that oblivious, right? But
Okay.
I didn't think it was as modern as it is. I mean, forget about it. I mean, if you guys could see I'm not living bad. I live pretty well here. And when you get here, you kind of see this type of lifestyle. You're like, dang, I didn't know it was this nice. And it's actually an upgrade. It's
Mm,
an upgrade. I'm not going, no, this is an upgrade. And why I say relocation is a luxury. It's a luxury and it's an upgrade. Why? Because the cost of living, you cut your cost of living. The healthcare system is better, the quality,
mm,
and you pay a fraction, I mean 50 to 70% less. The school systems are better. The
mm,
environment is better. The food is better. The people are friendly. You're connected to your African roots. You're able to heal and tap into your peace and tranquility, all of the things that come with that. So it is literally an upgrade. And so for me, that was a part of dispelling a lot of the myths that people just think people are just destitute and poverty all over the place, and there's no modern cities like Nairobi, which is one of the 6 fastest growing cities in the whole of Africa, and one of the most expensive African cities
mm.
in Africa, which has the second best healthcare in all of Africa behind South Africa. And what makes it very unique about Kenya, it ain't but predominantly a white population that's driving excellence here. This is
Mm.
Black excellence.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. So looking back, how has this move shifted your perspective on freedom, opportunity, and what home means to you? Right. I think this is some of the biggest things people wrestle with. Like,
Mm,
this is home.
yeah.
Right.
Yes. I always tell people, especially all my clients, or when people ask me this, 2 things can be true. I'm very proud to be from Charleston, South Carolina, of the Gullah Geechee culture all day, all day. But I'm also equally proud to have the opportunity to now be a part of the Kenyan community and be able to share my culture and what we've contributed to the world globally as the quote unquote African American community or the Gullah Geechee community or whatever you want to call us. They call us Black Americans. I don't know why, but Black Americans, what we've been able to contribute globally. And 2 things can coincide.
Right.
So Charleston, South Carolina is a home and will always be home. America will always be home. But Kenya is now my home as well. And it isn't the end all be all. I might move to Bulgaria in another year or 2 and live there 6 months, right? I am a global citizen. I just choose to live in Kenya at this point because it's the only place on planet Earth that I've been to, and I've been to 46 countries and I've lived in 8 of them, that I feel absolutely safe and at home outside of America.
Wow. Love it. So this is the segment where we talk about the rise of like global living now. right?
Okay.
So you represent a global, well, a growing wave of people that are embracing location sovereignty, right? So what do you think is fueling the shift worldwide today?
If we're talking about a specific let me say that again. If we're talking about a specific demographic of people
Yeah,
who look like me,
yeah,
that's an obvious answer. um, I want to bring this up though. When we're talking about Black folks becoming global sovereign citizens around the world, this is nothing new to us. We have circumnavigated the world thousands and thousands of years before we seen the first white person on planet Earth, okay? But furthermore, even in the United States of America, we had a great migration. This is nothing new to us. When we started to see that there were greater pastures or greater opportunities so that we can avoid racism, biases, and bigotry, we migrated. We had a great migration to the north, to the Midwest, and to the far west. So this is what we're seeing now. We're seeing we do not have to stay in one place, that we do not feel absolutely welcomed, or it may not even be that I need a different change to my lifestyle. I want to change my generational pathway. So now we're seeing a shift in that. But this is nothing new. This is nothing new for us particularly. And this is nothing new for human migration as well. We've seen this historically. And so again, we're just seeing history repeats itself. And in regards to Black folks, we're just seeing a different shift of where we seeing different opportunities for us that's calling us globally.
yeah. And listen, now with the rise of social media, this is how I found you. So information is definitely flowing at a pace never seen before,
Yeah,
right? The world's a lot smaller with this communication device that we hold in our hand. So,
this is too.
and I tip my hat off to you too. I've been following you and your content even before I decided to even. Well, I think once I embarked on knowing that I wanted to leave, and it was a shift. It wasn't a real thought. It was just it was a jolt one day where I was just like, something just is uneasy here, right? And being
Yeah,
first generation Haitian American, you realize like, yes, listen, my family were expats, right? I think where we can't really connect the dots, especially for me, is not hearing the stories of that
okay.
move, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
um, that would give us a lot of power if we knew what it took, right? So right now,
Correct.
my father having Parkinson's and dementia, I really can't ask the questions, to know what he went through, like what it took, because all you really hear is, "Oh, our country was horrible," and it's like, well,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I get that things you were looking for better opportunity.
Yeah,
Um, and just one thing to add too. So the one thing I could admire about South America, Colombia, is just where I'm at now, is how much they'll send their children abroad to study, and there's always a comeback.
correct.
And that's the one thing I like about that culture. Do you see that in Kenya too, where
Not
children
so
come
much,
back
but
to
we're
the
starting to
family?
see it now. We're starting to see the Kenyan diaspora also looking to come home. We had a consultation with two Kenyan Americans who've been in Kenya for 30 years and they're ready to come back home and they contacted us. So I can't wait until we relocate our first Kenyan Americans back home to Kenya.
It's amazing. So you talked earlier about the trap, that debt trap in America, right?
Yeah.
So for someone who feels trapped by the system or afraid to move, what mindset shift do you need to take before you actually take that leap?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think, okay, so there's a two-part answer to this because I don't think you can fully make that transition if you don't travel. Unless you're just completely fed up. And we've been getting a lot of customers who haven't even traveled here and they're like, I don't care, I'm moving, let me go. Right. But for the most part, people have either traveled out of the country and has experienced different cultures. And so this has given them the awakening, right? But if you're at home and you're in your living room and you're having these thoughts and these fears, I would say think about what would be the worst case scenario. If you already feel trapped now, what is the worst case scenario. You only have one life. And tomorrow is literally not guaranteed to you. So why not do it now? It's really that simple, but it is complicated. So I would say just walk yourself through the emotional part of trying to figure it out, the back and forth, build you a counsel to get some kind of advice. And then I would say travel, start small. Even if you haven't left your state, go to the next state over, go to the next city over, then venture out, go to the Caribbean. That's close. That's just upper Florida. Then, go a little Florida, go to South America, venture out, but start taking baby steps. But it does start in the mind, and you will have to grapple with yourself, but just ask yourself, how bad can it be?
Yeah. I can remember with my wife, the line that solidified it for us in making that purchase was, if not now, then when?
Yeah.
Right?
Tomorrow's not guaranteed. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a personal one. So how have you personally grown spiritually, mentally, or even financially since choosing to live internationally?
Man, okay, so I had a company before this one, Worldviews, and I co-founded it. And I went through a tumultuous business breakup. It almost took me out the game. I'm talking about I developed paralyzing anxiety, mild depression. I already have PTSD. And I didn't think I was gonna make it. And I'm 43 now, but at that time I was 40, 39, 40. I had never witnessed anxiety of that man. I thought it was a joke. I didn't think mental health was a thing.
Mm.
And me going through that situation, I definitely have empathy for anyone that's dealing with mental health, because now I know what that means in real time. And as I was going through that whole situation, I started holistic therapy, Reiki energy therapy, Hape therapy. That's an Amazon medicinal medicine that my holistic practitioners would administer, and it helped me through the entire process. And then I challenged myself to do intensive childhood therapy. That changed my life. That is one of the scariest things I've ever done in my life, aside from being an entrepreneur. And once I was able to make it through there, because my life had looked like a construction site, and I had to face some of the things that I had suppressed over time. And I'm just thinking it's just a business. And it's like, no. It's these other things we got to address so we can, make it to the other side. And I didn't think I was going to make it. Honestly, I have an amazing family. They're probably the only reason why I'm still here. They helped me financially, emotionally, and spiritually to continue to move forward. And once I was over the cliff, 2023, I decided to let the other person keep the business that I had put all of my sweat and tears in, and start all over with Traverse Culture. Technically, we've been in business for 2.5 years. And yeah, just 2.5 years. And I've been able to elevate it to something that Worldviews wasn't even close to. And that was my baby too. But Traverse Culture is its own entity, its own body. It has flesh, it has a soul, it has a spirit, and it has even outgrown me. It's bigger than me. The mission is bigger than me. And so I was able to accept through the entire process that this is not just about business. Right. This definitely ain't about business. If I was doing this for money, I would quit yesterday. Okay. But this is certainly something that the ancestors have placed upon me, and that was something hard for me to swallow. And this process has definitely allowed me to accept that you ain't doing this for you, and you probably won't benefit from this. You might be the last person to benefit from this, and you might not live to see the end, but you are standing on the shoulders of your ancestors, and you are your ancestors' wildest dreams. And that you can't put a price on.
That's powerful. When I sat in Colombia, went through the closing over the summer, And I timed it so the family could be out there, during that process. For the first time, I sat alone, right, without wife, kids, just thoughts.
Mm.
And that's when I realized this wasn't solely about business, even though I thought so. And I'm
Yep.
telling you, the amount of shedding that went on throughout those months there
Mhm.
just silence the noise, because there's so much noise here. There's always something or being of service to someone,
Yep.
right? So I don't want the audience to think, oh, you just moved to these countries and then life just, no,
No.
things are
Oh
going,
no.
right. There's going to be some work. So the problems that you have here are going to be the
We find them
problems
here.
that you have anywhere in the world. So I love that you brought up the spirituality part and the shedding of that, because most people think financial, yeah, it's great cost of living in comparison to where we're at, but the spiritual part was what I didn't expect to that magnitude, to that magnitude, and it's still a process, which
It
is
is.
amazing. Um, all right, so this is where we get into the medical tourism, um, just this health and medical, because the big misconception is this American health system and this marketing machine and everything that is taught us, right? And it's not until you leave you start to realize, because if you can't put something up against something, you don't
That's
know,
true.
right? You're just going to
Mhm.
believe what you're going to believe. The
Mhm.
last lady I interviewed on Expat Life segment,
Okay.
she went to the UK. And when
Right.
she got out there, she realized how much of an island America is on, right? So, because
Yes.
America controls all the information, America's not giving you a worldly view on things,
Correct.
right? And then, I never thought of it like that. How far away we are from the rest of the world when you think about it.
Right.
Outside of Canada and Mexico,
Yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah.
close to us, but everything else is out. So this medical situation, Kenya has become a rising hub for medical tourism. Can you explain what it looks like from your experience and your vantage point?
Man, I am excited about medical tourism. For me, excuse me, I'm coming over a cold. Sorry. Um, for me, the journey with medical tourism started back in 2019 in regards to Kenya. But I had been doing medical tourism, didn't know I was, since 2013. I got my braces done in Dubai. I
Mm,
got my teeth bleached and some other stuff in Thailand. I got some work done in Kosovo. I got work done in Belize. I got, in terms of my teeth. And so I had injured myself in 2019 here in Kenya, my knee and my ankle. And my team at the time took me to one of the hospitals close by. They took me in, they registered me, they gave me a shot for pain. They took me back to get an x-ray to diagnose me that it was just bruised. And then they gave me my prescription and I was done. That was under 2 hours. That was $70. The facility was clean. The bedside manner was amazing. And they also gave me my x-rays in my hand when I left.
mm,
I said, why in the heck are we wasting our time in the daggone US? This don't make no sense. And especially for Africa, because in people's minds, they may think of like a horror movie when they think about hospitals here or any medical facility. And then I get it. It makes sense, right? Because they show that on TV and movies and things of that nature. But when you actually witness it, you're like, man, this looks like a hospital in the US. This is crazy. Why am I coming? I mean, why am I spending all my money or racking up medical debt when I can go on a vacation and get a procedure done outside of cosmetic procedures? What? So so then I started thinking about putting together an entire vertical, really,
mm,
to promote medical tourism inbound to Kenya. Colombia is one of the top tier places that people already know about. The DR, India, Turkey, Singapore, Korea, even South Africa. But no one talks about any other sub-Saharan African country. And Kenya actually, again, like I said, has been voted the second best healthcare in all of Africa. And we're talking about Black excellence. So fast forward to 2024, no, excuse me, 2025, we relaunched our medical tourism business line. And since then, we've had at least 6 clients. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but that's a lot when you just launched this year and you're promoting a country nobody even know about, for real, for real. And especially with medical tourism. And, you know, people are not coming to get no small, you know, nobody's coming to get breast reduction and none of that stuff through us. We having people come in to take care of fibroid surgeries, you know, issues, hysterectomies, cancer treatment. We had 2 cancer patients come in. We knee replacement, you know, all sorts of things. We may have a dialysis patient come through that want to visit Kenya, but they don't want to stop their dialysis. So they want to be able to plug into the dialysis facility here through us while they're visiting Kenya. Can you believe that? So now you can also access the medical health system, even if you just want to travel. Even if you just want to travel and you don't want to be held up because you have health issues, because you don't know what's on the ground. So it's a game changer across the board, and I'm just excited about it all.
Oh man, I can hear the enthusiasm, and that's what I was more surprised at with Colombia and being out there is the access to the healthcare. I'm more holistic, but when I did dive into what was the access that was around, I was blown away. And that is part of what we're doing too with the resort. It's not just a place you come and chill. It is a wellness retreat where we're going to connect you with all the services that are on the ground. And then you just come and you just kind of relax, right? As you're waiting for things to come. So how do the quality, the costs, and the approach to healthcare compare to what people are used to here in the United States or even Europe?
Yeah, so we had a patient or a client come in for a second opinion. You know, she had some female issues and for years. And she, you know, she just wanted to come and get a second opinion. And the video is on our YouTube. And I watched the video 3 times as if I wasn't sitting beside her telling us the testimony, because it was so moving. I didn't know how impactful her coming to Kenya, sitting in front of another Black doctor, gynecologist, who actually cared about the issue and spent over an hour going into detail as to why this is the diagnosis. And we do agree with your US doctors, but we also can take a holistic approach first, right? At a hospital, at a major hospital. And then if that doesn't work, then we would do, you know, whatever we need to do clinically, right? She left out of the office crying. My team was there. We offer concierge service. They had already had a schedule for her to take care of some other things while she was here for medical tourism. They shifted the whole thing and they listened to some of the things that she said she liked to do, and she loved ice cream. And so they took her to an ice cream shop and they took her karaoke singing just to make her feel better. And when she sat down on the couch and she was telling us, she said, "You guys don't know how that made me feel to just sit across somebody who looked like me and actually care and actually gave me alternative options outside of a surgery where I could take a herbal approach and still have this as an option if that doesn't work." And we do combine holistic with clinical care. And so I didn't even know how much that was going to penetrate someone's soul. I mean, you could see it where she was talking. And so those are some of the differences that you ain't gonna get nowhere else in terms of dealing with the US. You're just not going to get it. And then when you talk about the cost, forget about it. She paid $350 for a second opinion. What are we talking about right now, right? And even we had a client that was coming for first it was a laparoscopic fibroid surgery. Most Black women deal with fibroids, West Africans deal with fibroids, and Kenya does actually well, and they do offer laparoscopic, which is robotic. A lot of people don't know that, which is robotic. So it's, you know, it's non-invasive, bloodless, so touchless, excuse me. surgery. So she had got quoted 30,000 in the US. She had quit her job, and so she no longer had insurance through the government. It was a government job. She left, and then she came here and also tried to get a quote on her own. I be telling people, y'all stop trying to do stuff on your own, honey. Because while I love Kenya, Kenya has his shiggity with it. Okay. She got quoted 1 million Kenyan shillings, which is about $7,500, right? So she told me, and I was like, what are you getting, a brain surgery? What? I was like, yeah, no. We have a full-on agreement with top-tier hospitals that are JCI accredited, ICO accredited, level 6 hospitals. So we're very, very intentional. We're certified medical tourism facilitators. And we have agreed prices with them. And so we did a consultation with the doctors, the head doctors over at one of the hospitals that the Nairobi Hospital. Shout out to the Nairobi Hospital. And we came back with the surgery and the 3 days in the hospital and sitting in front of the best gynecologists in the country and getting the surgery done the next following week for $3,700.
Let's go.
Out of pocket.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for me being, taking a holistic approach to my personal medical health, I still use the medical system. That's my,
absolutely.
I plan for things based on,
Right.
tests. And I noticed when I was in Colombia, there was no calling up insurance. There was no denial for my primary care for all the stuff that I need to do. I just came out of pocket cash pay. And I mean, anything you want, you get an MRI the same day, if that's what you want. So how have you noticed like Westerners beginning to explore like preventative? That's how I use the medical system in America. It's more preventative for me. So then my doctor's like, well, if nothing's wrong, why do you need to know this? And I'm just like, I'm just connecting some dots so I could have a start point. Because America is more take care of it when it like goes out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So those integrative health options instead of just an emergency, are you seeing a surge of more preventative?
Yeah. Absolutely. We had Dinus Demir. He's a YouTuber. He came to Nairobi to do a wellness checkup. He did the whole wellness checkup that you usually see people online that goes to Colombia or go to Turkey and get the whole head to toe. Well, we offer that here in Kenya. And he opted to do it here in Nairobi. And we took him to the hospital. It's on our YouTube channel as well. And he did the head to toe wellness as a preventative. He said, I'm 43 now. I know I'm not Iron Man. I need to check it. And if I get back to the States, I know I'm not going to do it. So let me do it here. And yeah, he came in, got it done the same day. I was able to schedule it for him, $350. All was well. They checked his prostate, his kidney, his everything for $350. Yeah.
Executive services.
Yep, executive services.
Most Americans don't even know exists because we're still regular CBC or whatever they call it now.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
This is the part where it gets good because this is kind of your bread and butter. This is the relocation services.
Okay.
So what are the top 3 things people should know before moving to Kenya or just anywhere in Africa? Top 3.
Woo. It is not as cheap as you think it is. Gotta have your money up. You got to have sustainability. And that does tie into the mindset, right? You need to change your mindset because if you are running away from the US, whatever you're running away, you will find here.
Yeah.
You should not be running away. You should be preparing for a lifestyle change, but not running away because you will find those issues here. That's number 1. Number 2, you must qualify for immigration. I mean, I think people just jumping off the porch and, it's making no sense. You're wasting time and money going to do border runs and all that. Come on, do your research or use your resources. Yeah. But immigration should be key to know before you relocate. And number 3, I would say travel before you relocate. Again, a lot of people jump off the porch. They just eager to get out of the US and they're not prepared because they don't know what to prepare for. So I would say do what we call an investigative tour or travel to the country first. do a little research, and then make a final decision. That way you don't find yourself back in the US in less than 6 months because you either cannot afford it or it's not conducive for your lifestyle.
Yeah. Now with the, some of the pluses with social media is we can be connected like this and meet each other. But then
Yeah.
some of the downsides is when I see these influencers like Hayi, Medellin, or Bogota, and it's like, they're like 20 years old, if that,
Yeah.
right? It sounds great when you have no kids, when you have no, prior responsibilities, or when your outlook is not that far out with health and
Right.
wealth and, all the things.
Oh, yeah.
So, I tell people to definitely do your research on the person, your point people matter. And then there's large communities of expat groups and WhatsApp and Facebook, and it's like you get a wealth of knowledge and information from different types of people from different
Yes.
places, to make informed decisions. So, what do you feel your biggest adjustment or the biggest adjustment for expats culturally or even just practically right after the move?
What we've been seeing with some of our clients is before we relocate them, right? Because we offer a 360 concierge,
Mhm.
a relocation integration service. They'll, because they're relocating to Africa, they'll say, I want to live as a minimalist. What does that mean? Because I don't know what kind of standard you think most of the people live here.
You want a hut?
But what are you talking about? And then you get here, you realize two things, that there's a very strong middle class here. So your money you bring in here, you competing with middle class Kenyans. And
What's that?
then
What's that number for that middle class in Kenya? What's that
in
salary?
turn, salary between 3,000 to 4,500
Okay.
is your middle class, your upper middle class, which is not a lot, right?
Mm.
But you know, um, that's considered upper middle class. That's not your 1% though. Your 1% got money, right? So but your 1% here is a bit more smaller than your middle class. So so then for your people who want to be, the minimalist, is like, okay, you gonna give up some amenities that I don't think you want to give up.
Mm.
And then when we start taking them on the real estate tour to look for permanent housing, they start picking out things they don't like. This is not what I want. Okay, so now the price goes up. So you find yourself at the $1,000 and above when you're thinking you're gonna be below that. And in Nairobi, yeah, it could get quite expensive. Like where I stay here, I have a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath townhouse. It is only 18 units in this building, fully solar, backup generator, never without light, never without water. 1,600 square feet, and I pay 1,000. Now that's great because I live up the street from the president of the country, like literally 2 minutes on the same street as the president of the country and the former president of the country. So I live in a posh area. And so that price is pretty decent, but a lot of people, think they can come and spend $500 a month in the city of Nairobi, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, not at all. And you don't want to live in a $500 apartment in certain areas. You don't.
Right. So, any common mistakes you see, like what new expats may make when they first arrive?
Yeah, immigration. That thing is eating people up. It's
Yeah.
eating them up left and right. They get scammed. They want to try to do stuff on their own because Kenya is a soft landing. It is a soft landing for an African country. You can try to figure it out, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to get scammed, unfortunately. Either you're gonna get scammed or you're gonna get overpriced or told the wrong information. Either way, the African American community that's moving on, they getting ate up. Okay. And then not preparing financially. That's another thing, just eating them up left and right. They coming over here thinking they can live off of $10,000. That ain't gonna stretch 2-3 months. And they find themselves right back in the US because they cannot afford to live here. They just don't take, and then they don't take in consideration the upfront investment to relocate. You need at least $20,000 to $30,000 to be able to fully integrate and relocate here to Nairobi. And then be able to sustain yourself. You need to have a cushion. So financial and immigration has just been really eating people up. And then your business investors, they have been going about it the wrong way as well and losing a lot of money.
Yeah. Boots on the grounds matter.
Big time.
Boots on the
And that
ground.
takes time to find people you can actually trust. I get it.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
But the misconception is we go through the same shit in America.
Yeah.
If you think about it, right? There's always somebody looking to take you for a ride. There's always a business that needs to come off the ground, and time and nurturing and energy. So it's there's no difference. It's just the landscape is different, but the issues
That's true.
are
It's all the same. It's universal for sure. 100%.
So what are you seeing right now? Who's moving? Retirees, digital nomad, families, investors? Like, what's happening in Kenya?
We have a mixture, but right now, the early part of this year, we had a lot of retirees. And then now the end of this year, just this month, we got 16 people that we are relocated just this month. And all of them, but one is retired. Wow. And those are for individual like families or whatever. But yeah, there's one lady that's coming in this month that's a retiree, I believe on the 25th. We have another retiree coming this month on the 20th, something like that. Another family that are contractors, so they're young, they'll still be working, they're moving their business here, so they're investors. And then another family of 10 who's moving as a whole unit, and they're entrepreneurs as well.
So this is a personal question for me. So having two younger children in middle school and high school, that was our biggest thing, right? Because if it's just my wife and I, we'd probably be moving around.
Yeah.
Flexible. So when you look at the schools, whether it be public or private in these countries, especially South America, Colombia being predominantly all Spanish.
Yeah.
Tough one, right? They're not like little kids. What are you seeing on the educational level that compares to the United States?
Yeah, so what
that doesn't.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, either what compares or what's, that's the biggest thing for families is the children in their school.
And when we moved a few families here and enrolled their children in school, the great thing, what makes Kenya so attractive is that the national language is English. Yeah. They were colonized by the Brits. So there is no language barrier. You can go anywhere around this entire country, everybody speak English. And then Kiswahili is the national language. So, everybody also speaks Kiswahili. For the most part, they would rather speak Swahili. But everybody speaks English, especially the middle-class Kenyans. They're going to speak English over Swahili, just depending on where, right? And then they have this new thing called Shang. So it's a mixture of English and Swahili mixed together. And it's a whole new thing, right? The Gen Zs have created. So that's what makes the country attractive. So with that, it has a lot of international schools. And so it has the American curriculum here. We have the British curriculum, and then we have the Kenyan curriculum. You have cooperative homeschooling or just homeschooling. We've also partnered with international Mercenary schools? How do you say it? I'm probably saying that one, that word. Yeah. Schools, and you just have so many different selections, because you got to remember that the UN headquarters here, and then the UN from New York headquarters moving here as well. So it's already set up for expats to live here because it has been one of those international hubs in East Africa for most international investments and headquarters moving to Kenya. Like the NBA has an office here. I heard Microsoft is moving in, and they still in the talks for Google to move here. So it's a place for expats to be able to move, integrate quite easily, and the school system accommodate it very, very well compared to the U.S. system. And I think the difference is just you got to pay for it, whether you're going to public or private here, you pay for school. So that's a huge change for people. Like, dang, at least it was free in the States. But here you have to pay for it. But here it's a bit more challenging. It's a bit more diverse. but it's a bit more global, right?
Mm.
So I believe it's an upgrade because it changes the entire direction that your children will be going into in terms of your generational wealth pathway.
Mm. Okay. So do you think it would have been a good fit for your, I know you waited till your son graduated, but do you think it would have been a good fit for him?
Yeah. Yep. It would have. I would have probably put him in one of the international schools or something like that. I'm still trying to convince him to change colleges, so he'll be here on the 1st of December. I'm going in selling mode when he hit Kenya.
Mm. Okay. So this is the part where we get into digital, well, global sovereignty, right? Before we had the interview, I sent you an app that we created that
Yep.
gives you a sovereignty score, right? So I just kind of go over just a little bit on that to give them context. So
Okay.
there's 5 areas that this app is going to test you to see how sovereign you are. And this is just the freedom over just many aspects of your life that we don't even think about. So there's the foundational sovereignty. There's the time. Well, that would include time, family, health, community. The second tier is going to be digital sovereignty.
Yep.
The third tier is going to be intelligence sovereignty. This is how we use AI, to help us or not. The fourth is going to be uh, institutional sovereignty, right? And then the final one, well, no, tier four, I'm sorry, is going to be financial, right? And then tier five is going to be the mobility. That's the global part. Okay. So, how does living in Kenya align with the idea of sovereignty, especially in health, lifestyle, and economic freedom? Because that's going to be some of the biggest things that and it's funny because when we're in America, we don't think about this. We just automatically think that this is the land of the free and everything we can do whatever we want. And then it's not until you look to go outside now people are questioning, hey, the safety and the healthcare. Or so, how has that changed for you in comparison to
Yeah.
where you came from?
Yeah, you have the level of freedom here is insane. One, I don't stick out like a sore thumb. I blend in. That is something that you don't even know that you need until it happens to you. Like literally, if I do not say that I'm not Kenyan, somebody will literally walk up to me and start speaking Swahili.
Mm.
Okay, it happens every day. I have to like beg them to tell them like I am African American, at least 14 generations. Like I am not Kenyan. So that's a freedom that you just don't have. And then, yes, like you said, the healthcare, I can literally just walk into any facility, whether it's holistic, whether it's a wellness center, whether it's a dentist office, whether I'm going to get IV treatment, holistic, the IV herbal treatment, which I did like 2 weeks ago and I loved it.
How
It was
much?
given luxury.
How much?
$80.
Okay, we're 30 in
Oh no,
Colombia.
I know Colombia's cheap, but
Yeah.
child, Nairobi is expensive. Okay.
Yeah, 80 is
Um,
good. I mean, you're going to pay a lot here. In Kenya, I mean, Colombia, they'll come to your house.
They'll come to your house here too.
Okay.
They'll come to your house here too. But I went to the facility, and I forgot all of the little stuff. But yeah, it's a bit more expensive. I think a lot of the services here are a little more expensive than Colombia.
Mm.
But yeah, you could do that. And then in terms of
Let me
generational,
reframe that. I'm in Santa
okay.
Marta, so that's not Bogota and it's not Medellin and it's
Wait,
not
you said
Cartagena.
where?
Santa Marta, so it's on the northern coast. It's
Okay.
a coastal beach town, so it's still emerging. So it's definitely cheaper, 50 to 60% cheaper than Bogota and Medellin, which would be the
Okay.
major cities. But
Bogota and Medellin would be equivalent to Nairobi.
probably,
And so
yeah,
if
they're
I got
probably
it
more
done
cost
in
efficient.
Mombasa, it would be around the same price. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool. Because yeah, this is the capital city of the country, so it's
Right.
just going to be more expensive. But yeah, things like that. It's accessible, really accessible. Like you said, we don't have to make no appointments. You just walk in, get it done. I mean, it is so easy. It's insane, right? Then the local healthcare insurance. I'm a veteran.
Mhm.
And I can get my services through FMP reimbursed. But I did opt to do local health insurance, which my premium for the whole year, $700.
Mm.
I almost fell out my chair. I was like, are you kidding me? What? People are paying this a month in the US. a
Easy.
month for one person, not the whole family, right? So, freedom in the medical, freedom in the education sector, freedom in travel. Kenya sits off the Indian Ocean. It's $300 round trip to go to India. It's a couple $100 to go to South Africa, a couple $100 to go to Thailand, it's a very global kind of a city because it's very metropolitan here. So it's a melting pot of different people from around the world. You usually don't get to integrate with other cultures unless you're in New York or LA, and they're still kind of segregated in their own areas, whereby everybody kind of live amongst each other, and they have their own areas here too, but it's still kind of intertwined into the culture overall. Like samosas is a part of the meals here. That's Indian, you know what I mean? But it's a part of the Kenyan culture, because they've been here for 200 years. And now they're the 44th tribe of Kenya, so that it just makes it really unique. The way that you can tap into that type of free space of just living outside the box and not be limited to American standards, what America has taught you. You learn so much. You learn that you are so behind. You are so behind. This place is so digital, it gets on my nerve. Everything is on the phone. I'm talking about everything. When I leave my house, all I have is my phone and my keys. I don't even have a purse because Kenya actually technically was the first cashless country in the world. Now China has took what Kenya did years ago, and now they've done face recognition. But Kenya was the first with M-Pesa, where everything is on the phone. And so I don't need a debit card. I don't have to tap my phone. I don't have to do anything. Everything is through M-Pesa. And I haven't had a Kenyan shilling in my hand since I've been here. Wow. So that type of freedom, you know what I mean? And all I have to do is transfer my money from the States to my M-Pesa and pay all my bills. Let's talk about the bills. My light bill, I literally got all the lights on here. You only pay for what you spend. You only pay for what you use. So you prepay for your lights until they run out. So you kind of figure out how much you use a month. So I think right now, my light bill is expensive, and watch what I say. $40 is expensive. Okay. That's kind of high because I like to sit around with my lights on. And then my water bill is $6. This is insane, right? So we're just, cost of living, the quality of it's quiet, it's peaceful, all of the things. You just find freedom across the board. What I do want to add lastly is I don't want to paint a picture that is, just birds and butterflies, it's a utopia. No, okay? I have my days. Like, I've had my car hit 3 times in less than a year because the driving is absolutely the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay, honestly. Okay, I've never seen nothing like this in my life. So those are some of the things you got to deal with and the nuances of the culture.
Yeah, that's funny. I guess you'll have self-driving cars soon, and that could probably just solve.
No. This is extreme. I've never seen. It's extreme driving. It's the most ignorant thing I've ever seen in my life. If you ask me about anything negative I don't like about living in Nairobi and driving in Nairobi, it's the most, weirdest thing you ever see, because they're the most reserved people you ever meet in your life, most hospitable, nicest people. They get behind those cars. Oh Lord.
Can't figure it out.
3 times in less than a year. It's crazy.
So, I'm a serial entrepreneur. We might need some set up a driving schools.
Like get a PPP contract for the whole traffic system.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Wow. So do you think Africa is becoming the next frontier for people seeking like independence from Western systems?
It is the new frontier.
It is.
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
even me, and just studying the country and just seeing the average age of people, right? One of the youngest populations in the world, where you have like Japan and a lot of Asian countries, they're aging out. So that means you have access to new professionals,
right?
New capital, new ideas, new innovation.
It's sustainable. It's innovative. It is the frontier. It is. You got to follow the money. When you start seeing Chinese folks in every African country doing business, something's up. When you see Russia saying, hey, we want to do, now there's other reasons, y'all, but I'm saying in terms of business, you know, you got to start, and we're the only group of people that doesn't tie ourselves to a GDP. We're the only group of people that does not tie ourselves to a GDP.
Wow. So I just want to let the viewers know we will have all your contact information below in the description. So your YouTube channel, ways that they could communicate with you for sure once this video goes up. Now, finally, if someone is listening right now and they're called to relocate, what's the first small step that they can do today to start their journey?
Yeah, they can go visit our website at tverse.com and book your consultation. We offer a hour-long consultation where we go through all the services that we provide, but then we educate you on what to look for and answer some of the questions that you may have, some burning questions that you may have. Now, we do offer an entire 360 service, so most of your questions we answer through the presentation. But if you're interested in just knowing where to start, I would say book a consultation, get in contact with us. Or you can even call a live line just to ask some few questions before you book the consultation. Either way, contact us.
Now, in closing, if you can share what's next for you personally, and is there any new destinations, partnerships, or expansion plans in the works?
Yeah, so we got the Journey Back to Eden coming up this December, which is our initiative. We pulled from the year return that Ghana did in 2019 and wanted to do it ourselves here in Kenya. So we're doing that in this December. It's a 3-year initiative. And we just got some new stakeholders on board that will take this to the next level for 2026, 2027. We are going to be expanding to other African countries and back into Central America. And my idea personally, where I want to be in at least 63 countries around the world, offering Afrocentric regenerative travel, relocation, and medical tourism. And then personally, my next travel, I want to go to Suriname, which I got invited, all expense paid next year. I'm getting speaking engagements. I'm excited about that. My son is coming for the first time after all these years. I never brought him. I wanted it to mean something to him. So my son will be here on December the 1st. I cannot wait.
I love that. So this is for me, serial entrepreneur, international resort owner. We are looking to bring our brand of resort to the continent of Africa, and we're going to start with
Yep,
you
we
in
got
Kenya
to.
first.
Yes.
So, as a business owner, do you have services that are set up for someone who wants to relocate either an
Yeah.
existing business or something new?
Right. We do business development. And so we tap you in either if you're an investor, we tap into small SMEs who may be looking for angel investors and things like that. And then if you are expanding your business from one country to another, we do help you incorporate, get your investors permit, do feasibility study, risk assessments, purchasing the land, legal documentations, everything. We do all of it for you.
We're going to document that journey. So I'll be there first quarter next year.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, let me close this out. So,
all right,
Kea, I want to thank you for sharing your journey, your wisdom, um, the vision behind what you're building with your brand. It's not an easy feat. I know what it is to work internationally. What I love the most about this conversation is that it just reminds us that sovereignty isn't just about finances or freedom of movement. It's about creating a life that's aligned with your values, your health, your purpose, right? Not valuing the money, how you
right.
mentioned maybe not in my lifetime. So understanding that you're being obedient to that call and that mission.
Yes.
You've shown us how relocation isn't just about running away from something, right? It's about moving towards a more intentional way of living. I admire that. Whether it's choosing, where your money circulates, how your body heals, or where your spirit feels at peace, right? Every choice is a step towards sovereignty, and this is what we're thriving for. So, for our listeners, if you've ever felt a tug, that call to experience life behind the borders to a higher life, a more connected. Take this as your sign, guys. You know, we're living proof that this can happen. She's a little bit ahead of me, but I'm taking notes every day. Every video matters. All right, don't stop. You can learn about Kea and the work she does. By visiting. And if you want to drop your website now, again, it's going to be in the description below. Very clear for them. But if you want to just drop some of your social media contacts or what you feel is
Yeah,
important.
you can visit tverse.com. That's TVERZE.com. Or you can email us at info@tverse.com. All of our social media handles is Traverse Culture.
Again, they'll be below. So exploring their relocation and medical tourism services. For me, it'll be the business portion of it. Connect with
Or
her and
just
her
travel.
team, right?
Yeah.
Or just travel, right? She
Yeah.
does travel packages. I've seen some 5, 7. I've never seen like some of these animals in person. That's
Yeah.
my
I can't
checklist.
wait till y'all come. I
Oh,
can't wait.
it's we're looking forward to that. Um, so Kea, thank you again for being an example of courage and alignment. For reminding us that the world is still wide open for those who dare to explore it, right? So until the next time, remember, sovereignty begins the moment you decide that your life belongs to you. Let's talk about it.